When many Christians hear Jesus say, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments," we immediately think about rules. The Ten Commandments, religious laws, lists of right and wrong. But that is not exactly what Jesus is saying as recorded in John's Gospel. The word being translated commandments also means, and more accurately means, teachings, directions, precepts, a way of living. Jesus is not simply saying, "If you love me, follow religious rules." He's saying, "Live the way I have shown you to live." And that matters because the people first hearing John's gospel were living in a painful moment. Many scholars believe this early Christian community was experiencing separation from the synagogue. Relations were strained, old identities were shifting, following Jesus became costly. They were trying to figure this Christian thing out. What does it mean to belong now? What does faithfulness look like now? How do we live when the world around us does not understand us anymore? And Jesus' answers is not memorize more rules. His answer is live my way. And maybe that's important for us too. Because Christianity is not supposed to just live in our heads. It's supposed to shape how we choose to treat other people. So what did the teachings of Jesus actually look like? For John's community, following Jesus meant building a different kind of world right in the middle of the old one. It meant feeding people, forgiving people, welcoming outsiders, telling the truth, loving neighbors, caring for the hurting, refusing to abandon each other. Jesus had already shown them this over the 3 years that he had walked with his disciples. He washed feet. He welcomed people that others rejected. He sat at tables with outsiders. He treated people like human beings when others treated them like problems. And maybe for children and youth, the simplest way to say it is this: following Jesus means helping create a world where nobody gets left out. That's what following Jesus means. Not just believing the right things, but learning how to love the way Jesus loved. That is why the teachings of Jesus were radical then, and honestly, while they're still radical now. Because the world still teaches people, protect yourself first. Only care about your group. Ignore people who struggle. Mock weakness. Win at all costs. But Jesus teaches something different. Jesus teaches to love people, to tell the truth, to help each other, to stay human, to not leave people behind. Then Jesus says something beautiful. I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate. The Greek word is paraclete. It means helper, comforter, counselor, someone who comes alongside of us. And Jesus says, I will not leave you orphaned. The followers of Jesus were afraid. Jesus knew hard days were coming as he was about to be arrested and crucified. Their world was about to change. And yet he promises, I will not leave you to face this alone. The Spirit becomes the continuing presence of Christ among the people. And maybe this is one of the deepest truths we all need to hear today. you are not alone. Not when you are anxious, not when you feel different, not when you are grieving, not when you feel like nobody understands you, not when life gets confusing. The Spirit of God walks beside people, and the Spirit of God works through people. Sometimes the Spirit comforts us directly. Sometimes the Spirit comforts us through friends, through family members, maybe a teacher, maybe a church community, through someone who simply chooses kindness. The early Christians learned that following Jesus meant becoming the kind of community where nobody had to suffer alone. Jesus says, the world cannot receive the Spirit of truth. In John's Gospel, the world often means systems built on fear, power, exclusion, and control. And honestly, fear is everywhere today. People are taught to fear people who are different, fear failure, fear weakness, fear outsiders, fear each other. But the Spirit of truth helps us see people, actually see people. The Spirit teaches us that every person carries dignity. Every person carries pain. And every person matters to God. And when we truly see one another, it changes how we live. We stop asking, how do I win? And we start asking, how do we care for each other? That is why Jesus is still radical, because living the way of Jesus means choosing compassion in a world that often rewards cruelty. It means choosing truth when lies are easier, choosing mercy when judgment is popular, choosing connection when isolation feels safer. And children understand this better than adults sometimes. Kids know what it feels like to be left out. They know what kindness feels like. They know what bullying feels like. They know what welcome feels like. The teachings of Jesus are not just abstract doctrine or theology or teachings. They are deeply human. And Jesus finally says, you in me, and I in you. John's Gospel teaches that following Jesus is not just believing facts about Jesus. It's allowing Jesus' life to shape our life. It's becoming people who love deeply, forgive honestly, welcome openly, tell the truth courageously, help people carry burdens, refuse to leave others orphaned. The early Christians believed the ministry of Jesus continued through communities shaped by the Spirit. That means the church, at its best, is not a building. It's a people trying to live the way Jesus taught us to live together. A people trying to create belonging, healing, compassion, truth, justice, hope. And maybe that is the invitation for us today here in this park. Not perfection, not pretending, not having every answer. Just choosing a different way to live. The way of Jesus. A way where people matter more than power. Where love matters more than fear. Where nobody is abandoned. And where the Spirit of God is still teaching ordinary people how to become more human together. Because according to John's Gospel, as we've read tonight, that is what it means to keep the teachings, the commands of Christ. Amen.